Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a guest today, CEO Dr. Jonathan Baktari. How are you doing today?
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Big honor.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. So for those out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. My name is Jonathan Baktari. I'm the CEO of eNational Testing, U.S. Drug Test Centers, E7 Health. We're a compilation of technology companies that helps people navigate preventive health, corporate health, as well as even personal health. So we do it all. And we've been running that for about 10, 15 years, and we keep growing, try to help people even more as the years roll by.
Right. Now, for those out there that are maybe new to business, how important is health and wellness when it comes to, starting and scaling and growing a company? Because, people think it's all about the mighty dollar, but what's the importance of health and wellness within that?
Oh, of course. I mean, you're really as good as your ability to stay on top of things and put in the time and effort, as well as balance your life. Because if your personal health life is not balanced, it can certainly impact. So what we see over and over is that perfect attention to all aspects of your life, whether it's your career, your personal life, as well as your personal health. The interplay between those are so huge that sometimes just one of those being out of whack can limit all three growing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I forget, I think it's called the 3 A's. It's like attitude, action, and attention. And it was like, if one thing is out of whack, the whole thing goes, right? Like if you're not feeling good, nothing else is going to go
right. Oh, for
that
sure.
day, right?
For sure.
At the end of the day, it's all about, feeling good. And if you feel good, your attitude is right. If your attitude is right, your actions are right. It all ties in together, right? So,
of course,
your company focuses big on technology, right? So you've been in the healthcare industry for what, 20 plus years?
Plus, yeah, of course.
Right.
Initially as a regular doctor, a clinician, and then back in 2009, really got involved and interested in promoting and leveraging technology to move healthcare and people's wellness in the right direction using technology.
Right. Now, how did that switch occur, right? So you were a doctor to start. You saw a problem, I'm assuming, within the industry and realized, well, there's got to be a better solution. And then you came up with it, or how did that process go?
Good question. I get that quite a bit. The thing about it is it wasn't really a wake up one morning and just make the switch. It was a real gradual process over 4 or 5 years. It's not like this epiphany where you come home and something hits you over the head and like
it rarely is, right?
Yeah. So I think it was always like getting involved on a small level, and one door opened another door, as it were. And so I initially got into administrative medicine, and that led into insights in how companies and corporations work. And that also led me to have a better understanding of how technology can magnify your impact on a problem. Right? Because if without technology, you can tackle a problem, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and you can only impact as many people you can talk to or be near. But leveraging technology became clear that these problems of making healthcare have such friction in terms of people accessing it in a convenient way. It wasn't like going on Amazon and ordering a widget, right?
Right.
So we said, hey, I wonder if we can make this like Amazon, right? If Amazon can sell you something with 3 clicks, why can't healthcare be like that? Or even employee health or corporate health. Why can't everything be 3 clicks away from like getting what you want? And I think that's what started our mission, and that's been driving our mission to get things to corporations and the companies and to people with the minimal friction and the best quality.
Right. Now, when you say, like what types of products are you talking about? Because there's I mean, there's certain things that obviously you have to, do a physical exam, or there has to be some sort of, a prescription written or
You're right.
whatever it may be. Like, what type of things
Mhm.
can be done very easily with just a few clicks
Right.
with the right technology?
Well, I mean, that's a good question because we have both. We have things that we have contracted out with like tens of thousands of clinics across the country. So you can
Uh-huh.
access what you want and go to something a few miles away from you. So that's number
Wow.
one. But number two, just even getting the appointment, right, is normally, you call your primary care doctor, you wait 6 weeks, you go,
Right.
you sit in the lobby, somebody gives you a paper clip, with some forms, and all of that doesn't necessarily need to happen. So to
Right.
answer your question, is twofold. One, we've leveraged out a nationwide network of clinics and labs that we use that's part of and that's embedded into our software.
Right.
So it's fully integrated. And even for the brick and mortar clinics that we send people to, we make the uh, making the appointment, accessing your medical records, everything is on the cloud, digitized. Three
Wow.
clicks, you have an appointment often for the same day.
Right.
When you leave, all your records are in the cloud, so you don't have to call and get anything. So there are ways that you can even streamline traditional office visits by
Right.
making the barrier to getting there easy, and
Easier.
also when you leave to be able to take everything with you.
100%. It's so it I'm a firm believer technology it's a game changer if used in the right way early enough. I mean, it can make all the difference, right? So the leading cause in death in males or what, it's not going to the doctor. Why don't we go to the doctor? Because it's a pain.
Right.
And I realized the other day, until a couple of years ago, I don't think I had ever been to an urgent care facility.
Good for you.
Why? Because it's not because I didn't get sick or I never
Yeah.
needed to. It's because I'd rather just put some glue on the cut,
All
or
right.
like,
Yeah.
than deal with waiting in line and filling
Yeah.
out all the paperwork and this. And now it's so easy. You go right online, you select the time, you fill in your information, autofill because it's already in your phone. It's like
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. And by the time you get there,
Mhm.
you sit in your car for a few minutes and then bing, they're ready
Yeah.
for you. And you
Right.
walk in and it just makes everything so much easier. So not only is it good for that business, because now I think I've been to the same urgent care facility 6 times, maybe five times in the last 2 years, whether it be for a headache or I had a cut and I wasn't sure if it was infected, or like just little things, right? That
Right.
normally, if it's going to be a pain, you're not going to worry
Right. But
about.
that's what we're
But if
talking
it's
about.
easy,
Yeah, reducing
then you'll
friction.
go do it. Yeah,
Reducing
yeah.
friction.
And,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine how much that is increasing sales.
Right.
I mean, I'm just one person that's been there
Hmm.
now 5 times because they made it easy for me to go there.
Yeah.
And I think businesses don't do that enough. They don't make it easy enough for a customer to convert,
Yes. Yes.
right? And
And
I think
that
that's where
and
technology is really the
and
most
that's for the
important.
retail customers. We also do that for corporate customers for their employee health management. So
Right.
yeah, so it's interesting because even corporations need a better solution when they
100%.
need employee health services, because that the the stuff they have to go to manage that costs them time and money, as well as we want people to get better care. So
Yeah.
it's win win win.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, if you've got an employee that's taking off 3 full days as opposed to maybe 3 hours over
Mm-hmm.
the course of a year, you're getting much more out of that
Right.
employee, and they're happier, healthier, etc. Now, you've had these technology companies in the healthcare space now for how long?
We really started in 2009 or 10, but I would say
Okay.
in the last 7 years is when we've really kind of exponentially doubled down and grown the technology
Right.
portion.
Right. And so, what has been some of the issues that you're seeing in the small to medium sized business spaces when you go in and you're giving them that aha moment of, okay, well, here's just some very simple ways that we can help you.
You're talking about the on helping him leverage technology,
Yeah, on the
or
technology
yeah,
side.
because we also have coaching advice for them, not as a business coach, but as someone who mentors people on leadership skills. But
Yeah,
more importantly, I think a lot of people are used to doing it a certain way. We meet a lot of clients that are
yeah,
used to doing things on Excel spreadsheets uh, and what have you. And I think there is often with certain people a general inertia from changing their systems because that's just the way they've always done it,
right. If it ain't
right?
broke, don't fix it. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think they don't understand the cost that it takes their employees time, effort, and lack of
right.
quality, because often if you're
Yeah,
doing things manually, you're more
things
prone
get
to have.
missed.
So in terms of efficiency, improving their bottom line, helping their customers have a better experience. Uh, Now, some people get it, and we have no blowback. And I can't tell you how many times we've introduced this to a company, and their jaws are on the floor, and they're like, "When do we start? Perfect. This is
Right.
exactly what we need." Uh, and then occasionally we'll get a company that says, I don't know, my staff's used to doing it this way. Let's think about it. We don't want to shake
Right.
things up too much. So, but that goes to leadership because
Yeah. Well,
the
mindset
lead.
as well, right?
Well, but the leaders are the ones that build that culture, that build that mindset, right?
Right.
So if you're in an organization where, and I talk about this in my
So
Crash
true.
CEO school, where the leaders build the culture and the people that stick around and remain buy into that culture. So if
Exactly.
the leadership group has you know, let's always be pushing the envelope, let's leverage technology to improve
Right.
quality, improve our bottom
Let's
line, and
shake
reach.
things up. Let's try
Yeah,
new
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Of course, they have to vet those things out, but for the right thing, they should want to move forward. So
Right.
I think the leadership and the skill sets that the leaders have impact whether organizations like that are early adopters or not.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. I mean, we've been like that since day one, and I didn't realize it until you said that. It really does. If you're somebody that's, hey, let's just stick to the basics. Let's not rock the boat too much. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
follow what works and not change things too often.
Mm-hmm.
That's the culture of the company. That's how everybody else is going to, act the same way, right? But if you're somebody that's like, hey, let's constantly throw some things out there and try
Yeah.
different things and bring in new technology and really shake things up, then that's going to be the culture of that company. So, you had mentioned the Crash CEO school. So, with being a CEO and running a company and being a leader, what are some of the main principles that a CEO needs to have in order to be successful and be a true leader and not so
Right.
much a boss?
Oh boy, that you're like leading the witness. That's my favorite question because the answer to that is really a non-answer, which is I
Yeah,
would say the most important thing as someone who has been thrust into the leadership position is to realize that the skills you need to be a CEO or a leader are not are not skills that are soft skills that you can just pick up. I mean,
right.
the example I always give is, just because you're a nice guy and people like you doesn't mean you could fly a 747 or land a
Right.
747. And just because, so the same quality. So what I tell people is, if you want to be a leader, you got to go and acquire skill sets. Just like
Yeah.
playing a violin, landing a plane,
Yeah.
you need skills. And I think a lot of people become the CEO because of, it was their idea or they put up the money, what they opened the office. Just because you did that doesn't mean you have the skill sets to take the company to where it needs to go. So I say the first thing any leader needs to know is, have I been properly trained? These are not things I can learn on. Well, you could learn on a job, but it's going to be very pricey.
Right.
Right? Do I have a mentor? Are there programs I can take where I can acquire these skill sets? How do you build culture? How do you fire? How do you hire? How do you motivate? How do you enroll people in your vision? How do you negotiate? If you have to learn that on the job by trial and error,
It could take years and cost millions.
You're right. So the first, I think, skill that somebody needs is to knowing that these leadership skills are not necessarily intuitive.
Right.
People think they're like soft skills. Like, I'm good with people. People like me.
Right.
So what? That's now that helps you be. If you don't have
people
that,
liking you and people following you are two completely different things.
Right. I think you had yes. And so I think now those things help. I mean, obviously you want to be a CEO. You want to be well liked. You want people to look up to you. But you actually have to acquire skill sets. So one example I give is, let's say you're going to have a talk with 3 employees and give them the same message. Okay, the same talk, 3 different employees. You may have to serve up that information 3 different ways to 3 different employees to get the response that you want. One may be the direct approach, one may be the mentoring and counseling approach, and but if you don't know that you have to calibrate how you say things, when to say, when to back off, when not to say something, when to let it go, when to intervene. That may seem intuitive, but for those of us who, early on realize, oh, that didn't go the way I expected, right? Like, oh my gosh. But what you see as you acquire some of these skill sets, some of which I talk about in my podcast, you realize that if you focus and work on these skills, you can actually do it better as opposed to just trial and error.
Yeah, 100%. Now, with leading a team of people, they've got to like you, they've got to trust you, they got to want to follow you, you got to have the culture. Now, once you have all that stuff built out, what are some of the, I guess, the ways that you guys train people on delegating? Because I know a lot of CEOs that try to take on too much, right? They're trying to wear every hat. They're trying to be the CFO, the marketing, the head of marketing, the head of sales. What are some suggestions that you would give to some of those CEOs out there that are wearing all these hats, and how to figure out what to delegate and what to keep on their own plate?
Good question, because at the end of the day, you can't be everywhere, and you can't, like you said, be head of marketing.
You can try.
You can try. You can definitely try. But the way I sort of view it is, when the first few people in your organization, your first 5 hires or your top lieutenants, those are the people you're going to have to invest time in.
Yeah.
And then what you want to do is you want them to replicate what you're doing for them. In other words, you want to so I can get to 4 or 5 people, meet with them on a regular basis, support them, have Zoom conferences, meet with them in person, have lunch with them. Those top 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to call it, the top C-suite, as it were. Right. But you want to mentor them so they're doing the same thing with 5, 6 people, right? And those 5, 6 people are doing it with 5, 6 people. This allows you to get past what you said, like there's only so much of you to go around. But if you can make other people great, and so I tell my senior people, I don't care how great you are. I do care, but I don't really care. I care how great you're making other people. Yeah. Okay, because I assume you're already great because you're in the top leadership. But what I want to know is, what are you doing to make other people grow? Are you supporting, mentoring, helping those people get past what they think is their limits and get to their untapped potential? If you're helping others in your organization rise up, and if you really think about it, look at any organization, the people that you really look up to are the ones that are running around making other people great.
Right. 100%.
Right. Because even if they're great, how many hours a week can they work? I mean, fine, you're great, but I got 40 hours out of you.
Right.
Your greatness only gives me 40 hours. But if you can make 10 other people great and they're putting in 40 hours, now we're on to something.
Yeah, 100%. It's so true. It's funny that it's not always the great worker that becomes a great leader, or vice versa, right? Like I've had some mediocre sales guys that ended up being amazing sales managers, right? Yes. Like they could close and they were okay, but when it came to like training and leading and hyping their team up, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. So it's funny, but also on the flip side of that, I've also had some amazing salespeople be terrible at
Right.
training and leading, and so
It,
um,
it's
you
called
know,
the Peter principle, which is,
the Peter principle.
right.
Huh.
Yeah, that eventually people get elevated to their level of incompetence, meaning just because you're the best engineer in the company doesn't mean you would be the best director of engineering.
Right.
Because, and I think that's a mistake businesses make. They take someone who's really like is their best accountant, and they're like, okay, we're going to make him in charge of the accounting department. And, well, that doesn't always translate, like you said, from
Right.
being the best salesperson to be the best director of sales. And what the Peter principle in a nutshell says, that you keep getting promoted until you get promoted to the level of your incompetence, because it didn't translate at some point just because you were great. Now, of course, there is exceptions, but that's the problem you want to look out for. You don't want to
Right.
necessarily say, "Oh, this guy is the best at client relationships, so we're going to put him in charge of everybody in that department," because that has a different skill set,
Yep.
managing people versus
100%.
managing sales or what have you. Sometimes it translates, sometimes it doesn't. And I think as you're promoting people, now, one thing I do is I make sure if I'm promoting someone to their level of incompetence, then I will invest time and energy to help them get additional skill sets so to maximize their chance for success in this new role. But
Right.
just assuming that they were great when they were a member of the department to they're going to be great as the head of the department is often a mistake. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Doesn't mean sometimes it doesn't work. But you have to really be willing to help and invest time to ensure they have the maximal chance for success.
Absolutely. I mean, and the training and the coaching is super important as well, right? Like, you know, I I'm a firm believer in never hiring for a leadership position from outside of the company, right? Like, I would never hire a CFO or head of marketing or head of sales or whatever that wasn't once on the ground floor,
Right.
right?
I
Because
agree.
how can you follow somebody that's never one done your job, or
Right.
two understands the company fully and the culture and this that, and the other? I think time and time again people make a mistake and they hire a some sort of managerial position from another company, even though it might be a similar, they did a similar job here, but
Yes.
it's not your company. Like you
It
can't,
often it
you can't.
doesn't translate often. I get that.
No.
And like you said, who wants to have a boss who's never really been in the trenches?
Right, right. 100%. 100%. Um, so Crash CEO School, that's on YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube, Spotify. It's a podcast, so it's on
Okay,
anywhere you would find us on Google.
great.
But yeah, but YouTube of course has the video of it. But if you just want to hear the audio when you're driving, just Baktari MD is the name of the podcast. But yeah, it's on Spotify and all of the podcast platforms, as well as we have clips that are on LinkedIn and stuff. But yes, if you want to watch
Okay.
the full thing, I would go to YouTube.
Great, great. So Crash CEO School, it goes through all the different levels of how to be a successful CEO.
Yeah, we cover all the major topics. This was season 2 of Baktari MD podcast, but yeah, we cover all the major topics, and we dive really deep into the minutia of leadership.
Right.
What real small and big skill sets you need to be effective as a leader.
Awesome. And so what's next for you, Dr. Baktari? What's where are you going with your companies as far as the technology, right? Like
Yeah,
technology's getting crazy. So what's the next steps for your companies?
we were very excited. We just launched yet another company called US Gateway, which is a technology platform for companies to use to manage a lot of their employee health, especially hiring processes. We're launching that in the next few months. I'm very excited about that.
Exciting.
And we continue to grow our footprint in our technology and eNational testing, where you can get nationwide clinical testing for cholesterol, any kind of blood tests you would need. eNationaltesting.com, as well as U.S. drug test centers, where we manage drug and alcohol testing programs for companies nationwide. We continue to expand all of those in the next 12 months.
Very cool. And so are you just going to continue providing more and more technology solutions for the clients that you already have?
Well, I think we're reaching out to different client, with US Gateway, it allows us to have even other organizations besides us use our technology to manage their clients. So It's becoming really a platform for companies like us to run their business on our platform. So it's really an opportunity to exponentially have an impact, because not only will my company is on the platform, we're going to have other companies like ours be on our platform and use our technology.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're building it up, and you're helping build up other companies as well in the process.
We're very excited. Yeah, next 12 months should be very exciting, and we're working hard to make sure it's a success.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, whenever you're focused on helping people, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we try to do. The theme of our software development is taking work away from people, but getting them what they need.
I like that. Taking work away from people, but still getting them what they need. Love it. Well, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Baktari. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to check out Crash CEO School. I'll never stop learning. I think I'm a great leader, but I want to be the best leader. Right.
Well, thank you.
I'm looking forward to watching some of those episodes on YouTube and learning more about how I can be a better and more effective CEO.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope everyone checks it out, because it's been a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you hopping on. We'll definitely have to talk soon in the near future and see what's going on. We'll check back in probably about 12 months to see where you're at.
I love it. Thank you again. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.